Ash Ketchum, the main character in the Pokemon series for what? 25 years, 8 regions traveled, 2 championships won, along with the Orange Islands and Battle Frontier, for a total of 4 if you want to include those. And if you search in YouTube, something basic like Ash Ketchum challenges, you'll find that most are done by Keegan J, there are a few by Nuzlocke Joe, and one by my boy Coach Max. Hope you're doing good, Greg. Sorry again about your Titans, but how about them Detroit Lions? Anyway, it's been almost a year since I completed my last Nuzlocke on the channel, and I still want to do bugs only in Gen 2, but I decided why not try this challenge and knock out more Generation 1 Nuzlockes while I'm at it. The rules are simple. I can only use Pokemon used by Ash in the anime. This means I have a total of 12 encounters, which is nice, until you realize that 3 of them can't evolve. I will be allowing Orange Island encounters such as Lapras and Snorlax, and 6 of them are between the mid and late game for encounters. And with this rule as well, I'm going to be limiting myself to Ash catching the Pokemon he caught in the anime. This means I'll have to catch a Pidgeotto as a Pidgeotto, which can then later evolve into Pidgeot since Ash's did. I cannot catch a Pidgey and train it up. I will be re-rolling encounters on a route until I get a Pokemon that Ash caught in the anime. Your other standard Nuzlocke rules will apply, such as level caps of not going over the gym leader's ace, playing on set mode, no items in battle, and of course, if a Pokemon faints, it's considered dead. One thing I do want to be upfront about is that I do hack in rare candies for myself. I like to be able to get these videos out quickly, and grinding does not help with that. Although there will be some points in the run where I do train for stat experience. But I also don't want to spend hours knocking out level 2 Pidgey or grinding up my Pokemon. So if you're someone who doesn't like hacking in rare candies and you want to click off now, cool, I get it. You won't hurt my feelings. And just so you know, dislikes are still good for the YouTube algorithm. But if you want to click like on your way out, I appreciate that. Now let's begin. I'm going to be doing this challenge in Pokemon Yellow, since it's like the anime and you start with Pikachu, and this lab battle is close. Believe it or not, when I hacked in my 500 rare candies to my PC after this battle, I checked this Pikachu's IVs, and it has 0 IVs in defense. I think this thing is going to die due to a crit or something later on in the run. After I leave the lab though, since you automatically get healed after the first rival battle, I'm going to try and give Pikachu this potion. The reason is that it will actually max Pikachu's happiness very quickly, which I'll need for when we arrive in Cerulean City. Not long after delivering Oak's parcel, we head to Viridian Forest and get our first encounter, Caterpie. I know in the anime Ash caught both a Pidgeotto and Caterpie in the forest, but I wanted to limit things to 1 encounter per route, just to make it feel a bit more like a Nuzlocke. Plus, we can get Pidgeotto later on, but Viridian Forest is the only place we can catch Caterpie. In the early game, I do opt for training because it's quick to an extent. Plus, it's a good place to get some stat experience early on. Not long after capturing Caterpie, it evolves into a Metapod, and then into Butterfree, learning Confusion, which is going to be my key to defeating Brock. After getting my team to the level cap of 12, I face off against the Rock-type specialist. Confusion makes quick work of Geodude before I move on to Onix. I actually go for String Shot on it because I wasn't sure if I would outspeed, but I do. And after I let Onix's Bide pass, I knock it out, claiming the first badge. With that out of the way, it's on to Route 3 in Mount Moon. Ash doesn't capture a Zubat in the anime, unlike Brock. Does anybody else remember him being butthurt that he didn't capture a Zubat?
Captured it just before we entered the cave.
Oh, I should have caught one.
I mean, I wouldn't be butthurt about not getting a Zubat, but maybe he would like a Crobat by the time he gets to Johto. Aw man, if I ever do an Ashlock in Crystal, I'm not looking forward to using mainly first form Johto mons. Although I will get access to Heracross, but if it gets too rough, I could make some type of clause to allow some Kanto mons, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. At the end of the cave is a battle with Jesse and James. 2 of their Pokemon are poison types, and Butterfree's Confusion does the job. It also has Sleep Powder now for their Pokemon, which I do go for against Meowth, because Butterfree is still a frail bug type at the end of the day. There's no need to use it against Coughing, because I get lucky with Confusion, confusing it, and it hits itself, allowing me to knock it out the next turn. Once I arrive in Cerulean City, I go to the house next to the Pokemon Center and get our next encounter, Bulbasaur. This is why I spammed that single potion on Pikachu after the lab battle. I candy it up to 20, which is one level below the cap, along with Pikachu, and then go to take on Misty. Her lead is Staryu, and I lead with Pikachu. Thundershock does over half, but her lead scores a critical hit with Water Gun, doing over half to me. I can finish it the next turn as her ace comes out. I swap to Bulbasaur, who tanks a tackle from her ace. Starmie is faster, and another tackle brings me to nearly half as I set up Leech Seed. Because of Misty's AI, she's never going to use Water Gun or Bubble Beam against my grass type, and as long as she's not critting with tackle and waste turns with Harden, Vine Whip and Leech Seed will do the job, which they do. 2 badges down, and no deaths surprisingly. Up next is the rival battle against Gary. I lead with Pikachu against his Spearow, and 2 Thundershocks take it out. He sends in the ground-type Sandshrew next, so I swap to Bulbasaur. Scratch doesn't do much to me, as Vine Whip one-shots the ground-type. Rattata is next, and Hyper Fang hits hard, as Vine Whip misses. Great. Quick Attack brings me to 18 HP, and Vine Whip is going to be a 2-shot. I'm taking a bit of a risk here, because I believe Hyper Fang could kill my plant, but the rat just goes for Tail Whip, as Bulbasaur finishes it. Eevee is last, and I swap back to Pikachu. This thing doesn't bother attacking my 0 DVs in defense Pikachu, as 3 Thundershocks, the last of which crits, takes it out. It's time to venture through Nugget Bridge. We have quite the level cap jump from Misty to Surge, going from 21 to 28, much better than the 21 to 24 in Red and Blue. I do have a few close calls on Nugget Bridge because my Pokemon lack the stat experience training, but as I said, there are going to be times in this run where I take the time to do some of that, and a spot I have in mind for it will be coming up pretty soon. One last thing to include in my rambling is that I really should have included a rule of using as many Pokemon as the gym leader has, just to make it more of that Ashlock feel. Oh well, lesson learned, and perhaps I'll do it in future Nuzlockes. After defeating the 5 trainers in Rocket Grunt, we can get our next encounter, a Charmander, and since this thing can fully evolve, it's going to be pivotal for the run. I immediately candy this thing up to 16 so it can evolve into Charmeleon, and it's going to be my Pokemon of choice against Surge as well. Before I can exit and head to Vermilion, I have to battle this Rocket Grunt who gives the TM for Dig. The battle isn't a struggle, but as someone who's used to using a single Pokemon in battle, I need to remember in these Nuzlockes when to use TMs, because I don't want to teach something too early and lose that team member, but I also don't want to hold on to a TM and make things difficult for myself with what's to come, when a TM could help make things drastically easier. Once I enter Vermilion, I'm going to head to Diglett's cave for some stat experience training. While Diglett gives pathetic HP and defense stats, the 95 speed is great, and the 55 attack is decent. It's more than the 45 I'd be getting from Pidgeys. Granted, I would be able to do a lot more against level 2 Pidgeys. Along with the fact that I need to be careful training here, I don't want to accidentally select a move if Diglett uses Dig on Charmeleon, because that would definitely one-shot me, and I do not want to lose this Pokemon. I want a Charizard for later. I'm also running the risk of running into the level 29 Dugtrio, which I do during one of my sessions, but not this one. On the SSN, I'm going to pick up 2 TMs. The first is Rest, and the second is Body Slam. There are a few mons that could make use of Body Slam, but I'll probably save it until I have my final team put together. Once again, we have another rival battle against Gary. Majority of my team is sitting at level 25 or 26, including my lead Pikachu, who now has Thunderbolt and decimates Spearow, and can easily one one-shot his second Pokemon, Rattata. Like in the Nugget Bridge battle, Sandshrew is next, and I'm going to switch into Bulbasaur, and Sandshrew now has Slash, which does around a third. Vine Whip easily one-shots it though, and last is Eevee, and while this thing spends majority of the battle wagging its tail, 3 Vine Whips get the job done. I remember in the last Nuzlocke I did, my bug-only run in Pokemon Blue, this was the one battle where I had 1 death, which sucks because I was looking forward to using Beedrill in that run. The next 2 things I'm about to show you I thought would be kind of funny to include in this. The first is healing in the Vermilion Pokemon Center. For solo runs, this is a big no-no because you can just dig back to the Cerulean Center after completing the SS Anne and defeating Surge, saving time. But this isn't a solo run, and I'm not working against the clock. And the second, actually having to solve the trash can puzzle in Vermilion Gym. In my solo runs, I usually use Pokebite to automatically solve the puzzle, max my DVs, among other things, but I'm not using it in this Nuzlocke. And yeah, the trash can puzzle sucks, and I didn't have the map in front of me to show the pattern of the trash cans, so I'm just aimlessly checking all of them. In yellow, Surge has a single Pokemon like in the anime, a level 28 Raichu, and while I would have loved to battle one-on-one with Pikachu like Ash did, I think a Mega Kick would one-shot our electric rodent, even if we were level 28. Instead, I'm going to use Charmeleon, who has Dig. Raichu, however, is faster, and Mega Kick does half. Dig leaves it on low red health, and I'm taking a risk here. Mega Kick will probably finish me, and would probably one-shot my other Pokemon except maybe Bulbasaur. I roll the dice and leave Charmeleon in, and Mega Kick misses, and we remain deathless in this run. Surge gives the TM for Thunderbolt, which many of our encounters will be able to learn later on. After defeating Surge, we can get our 5th encounter of the run, Squirtle. Remember earlier when I said I encountered the level 29 Dugtrio in Diglett's Cave? It's literally my first encounter when I come back, and it scared me shitless. You can also see I didn't heal Charmeleon after the Surge battle, but thankfully, my first click of run is successful, which isn't always going to be the case. In Rock Tunnel, I heard if Pikachu knows Thunderbolt or Thunder, it could light up dark caves, but the part I missed until now was that it had to level up and learn the move as you're in said dark cave. Sucks, because I was looking forward to seeing and showing off this mechanic. Oh well, the self-destructing hiker is really the only worthwhile battle to talk about in here, but Bulbasaur to this point has Razor Leaf, which just one-shots the 3 rock types. Although I'm sure Squirtle with its very little stat experience training could have one-shot them with Water Gun as well. Let's move on. Once I arrive in Celadon, I do some item management, depositing TMs I'll be using later, grabbing Ice Beam, Rock Slide, and Tri Attack from the girl on the roof of the department store, along with opening the way to Saffron and getting the TM for Psychic. We're going to be hunting on Route 7 for our next encounter. This is one that shows up in Verdian Forest that I put off until now, Pidgeotto. I need to be careful though, because it does know Whirlwind to this point, and since I'm trying to keep rules traditional with 1 encounter per route, I don't want to lose out on what's going to be mainly my fly user, and my second ball captures the bird, giving us a full party of 6. Pidgeotto immediately gets put to work in Erica's gym, making quick work of the grass types in the gym. While he probably won't make our final team, at least he's getting some screen time now. Pretty much everybody except Squirtle has had some screen time to this point. Poor Squirtle, if only you could fully evolve into Blastoise. It's a shame we're going to be getting access to a much better water type later on. Erica is the next gym leader. I'm hoping Pidgeotto can just solo her team, but I have Charmeleon as backup. Fly does over half to Tangela as it just uses Constrict, dropping my speed in the process. Tangela and the rest of Erica's team will now outspeed Pidgeotto. It misses Bind as Wing Attack leaves it on red health. It goes for another Constrict as Wing Attack finishes it. Weepinbell comes out and tags me with an acid that doesn't do much. Fly leaves it on low red health, but I still have Quick Attack for priority. Last is Gloom. Like Weepinbell, its acid doesn't do much, as Fly gets a critical hit to one-shot it. The level cap gets a huge jump now, going from 32 to 50 for the next 2 gym leaders. I have to do the Rocket Hideout, and I can pick up the TM for Double Edge while here, along with some high money items to sell for things like vitamins later, or if I want to gamble at the game corner and get a bunch of Hyper Beam TMs. This isn't foreshadowing, by the way. I don't know if I have the patience for that, even if I were to save scum it. I did forget that in yellow, Jesse and James guard Giovanni's chambers instead of the two rocket grunts. I lead with Pikachu, who has a nice amount of HP against coughing. 2 Thunderbolts take down the ball of toxic gas, as its tackle doesn't do much to me. 2 Thunderbolts are going to take out Meowth too, thanks to my first leaving it on a sliver, but its bite with a crit nearly ends Pikachu. Against their final Pokemon Ekans, I can't leave him in, so I swap to Butterfree, who tanks a Poison Sting and delivers a super effective Confusion to end the battle. Giovanni afterwards isn't a challenge. I lead with Bulbasaur, who has Razor Leaf and easily takes down the rock types, but in yellow, Kangaskhan is replaced with Persian. Razor Leaf does over half as its payday scores a critical hit, doing over half to me. Wow, I think in the future when I do these Nuzlockes, I should provide some info on the DVs when I catch these Pokemon. The only one I know is Pikachu's 0 DVs in defense, but I'm curious about my others. From here, it's a trip to Pokemon Tower, and man, I remember in the anime when Ash dies here. And then Haunter decides to travel with them afterwards. Would have been nice to have a fast special attacker on the team. I know Ash does get a Gengar later on, which is kinda cool, but man, if only he had one in Kanto. Anyway, I know I've talked for the majority of the battle, but that's because this battle normally isn't worth talking about. But I need to point out how annoying Sandshrew is and its sand attack. It gets Bulbasaur down to low orange health before I defeat it, and I didn't want to risk losing it against Eevee, so I swap in Charmeleon, and despite Eevee hitting 2 sand attacks, Charmeleon doesn't miss, and it's 1 Mega Punch and 2 Embers to end this one. At the top of the tower is yet again another battle against Jesse and James. I'm going to lead Charmeleon in this one, and 3 Embers take out Meowth. Although it does hit me with a growl, this will unfortunately weaken my dig against Arbok, who hits me with Glare when I come up from underground. I stick with the ground type move to take out the Cobra and level up to 33, where I can replace Mega Punch with Slash. My new move is going to be my move of choice against Weezing, with a dig sandwiched in between, and although Charmeleon gets low, I get through this one with no casualties. Next, I want to head to Silphco for a few reasons. There's an encounter here who will be a major upgrade to the team, but there are also some important items that I want to get, including an important TM, which is TM03 Swords Dance, and I'm going to immediately teach this to Charmeleon. While clearing out some of the scientists and rockets within Silph, we get 2 important evolutions, with Charmeleon evolving into a Charizard and Pidgeotto evolving into a Pidgeot. With these evolutions, it's now time to take on Gary. His Sandshrew is now a Sandslash, while my Bulbasaur is still a Bulbasaur, because Ashes refuse to evolve in the anime.
It's not evolving. Why not?
It looks like it's trying not to evolve.
Sandslash just goes for Poison Sting, dealing pathetic damage as Razor Leaf one-shots it. Cloyster is out next, and I take a risk leaving Bulbasaur in. It fires off an Aurora Beam, which we tank with 25 HP left as Razor Leaf one-shots it. But had Aurora Beam crit, it would be game over for Bulbasaur. Magneton comes in and I decide to fight Electric with Electric, swapping to Pikachu, but I quickly realized that this was a mistake. The best I have to battle against it and the strongest Pokemon I have by far is Charizard. I have to swap it in on a Thundershock, which does a third, but doesn't cause paralysis, and Dig can take out the magnets the next turn. Slash easily one-shots Kadabra, and last is Flareon, who is obliterated by Dig. The real prize after this battle, though, is talking to the man who it looks like our rival was holding hostage, and he gives us Lapras. Squirtle, you didn't get any screen time, and you're about to go into the box for good. Sorry, buddy. It's the final battle against Jesse and James, and I'm going to keep this one brief. I click Swords Dance once and dig 3 times for 3 one-shots. I don't have anything else to say. I'll try to keep it brief with Giovanni too. I click Swords Dance twice and dig 4 times. A few more button presses, but the same result. All one-shots. After chasing Team Rocket out, I can talk to the president of Silphco and get the Master Ball, arguably the most important item in this area, and I already know what Pokemon I'm going to use it on. Welcome to the team, Snorlax. I've been waiting for you. We can now make our way to Fuchsia and the Safari Zone, and it goes without saying you know what I'm looking for here. I don't run into it on this trip in, but I get 2 Kangaskhans back to back. That's never happened to me, even as a kid, so of course it's going to happen to adult me who's doing a challenge run. Taking a break from searching for our next encounter, I decide to knock out the next few gym leaders, starting with Koga. In yellow, he has 3 Venonats and a Venomoth. All get a huge level boost compared to his team in red and blue. Unfortunately for him, Charizard now has Flamethrower. While it one-shots his first 3 Pokemon, Venomoth hangs on from one and just goes for Toxic. No challenge from the Ninja Master. Sabrina is the next gym leader, who has the Abra line, all at level 50. I still lead with Charizard, who has Slash and easily one-shots Abra and Kadabra. I switch things up against Alakazam, going for Dig, but it sets up Reflect as I'm underground, lessening the damage. It then spams Recover as I go for Slash, but Sabrina uses an X-Defend. Throwing the battle. Remember what I said about Squirtle not getting any screen time? Well, I lied, because here, he's my designated surfing Pokemon as I clear out the trainers south of Fuchsia, as we make our way to the Seafoam Islands for our next encounter. I'm excited for this one because in a solo run, this Pokemon is great, although it's not going to have access to the TMs I would normally give it. Really only 1 TM I would normally give it, because I've already taught that move to Charizard. But as far as the Pokemon in question, it's Krabby, who will be allowed to evolve into a beastly Kingler. We can jump straight into searching for our next encounter. Since we have 6 badges, I can make my way up Route 23 for another encounter, and this is one that I think would have been Ash's strongest Pokemon had he kept it. Primeape. Like in the anime, I have to weaken this one some as it gets Pikachu down to half health before getting in the damn ball. Cinnabar Mansion is home to our next encounter, a Muck. Like Ash did in the anime, I give it a Thunderbolt before chucking balls at it, and while I don't think it'll make the final roster, it's nice to have backup just in case I get any deaths from here to the league. As I prepare to do a bit of EV training with the team for the final stretch, Krabby evolves into a beastly Kingler, and Kingler is going to be my main Pokemon for clearing the trainers in Blaine's gym. While its special isn't the greatest at base 55, and I wasn't getting a whole lot of special EVs from training in Diglett's cave, Crabhammer puts in work. I have Stomp on this thing as well, and while I could teach it Body Slam, I have another Pokemon in mind that I want to teach that move too. Kingler is going to be my backup for when I face Blaine though. He is arguably the most improved gym leader from red and blue to yellow. He leads with Ninetales as I lead Charizard. I don't want to set up Swords Dance on this thing because it does have Confuse Ray, and if I were to hit myself over and over, that could be bad. Instead, I hit it with Dig that leaves it on low red health. Thankfully, this thing just spams Quick Attack in the battle and I can take it out easily. Against Rapidash, I set up one Swords Dance as it misses Fire Spin, and Dig takes it out. Last is Arcanine. As I'm underground, it sets up Reflect, so Dig does just over half, but I know a second will finish the Fire Doggo, which it does. 7 badges, no deaths. I'm going to return to the Safari Zone now because I would like to get our last encounter and add it to the team. I run into Pinsir and Scyther back to back, and you saw earlier in the run when I ran into Kangaskhan back to back, but I have yet to see this Pokemon. Before finally, after about 20 minutes of trips into the Safari Zone, we have Tauros. I have no idea what Tauros's catch rate is, but I remember as a kid whenever you came across a Pokemon like this, you just chucked balls and prayed, which is what I'm going to do. And on my second ball, we got it. Yes. our final team member, or members if I want to be like Ash and catch 30 of them. No thank you. Let's go ahead and head to the Viridian Gym, where we can take on our final gym leader, Giovanni. His lead is a level 50 Dugtrio as I lead with Kingler, and it's faster, which I did not think about because this thing has Fissure and it could have gone for it and KO'd my crab. I swapped to Charizard to avoid the dig because this thing knows all ground moves and sand attack. I set up one Swords Dance for what's to come and knock it out with Slash. Out comes Persian, and to my surprise, I hit the dig through a double team, but also it lives on low red health. No matter, Slash hits it the next turn, KOing the cat. Dig with the +2 boost from Swords Dance will be enough to one-shot both Nidoqueen and King, who now have Earthquake and Thunder on their movesets. A big improvement over the red and blue sets, but now Giovanni's ace, Rhydon, comes out, and I froze, because this thing has Rock Slide, and if Charizard misses the range with Dig, I would be saying bye-bye to one of my best Pokemon, so I swapped to Kingler, and Rhydon chooses Fury Attack. Not what I was expecting. One Crabhammer takes out the tanky Rhino, winning us the Earth Badge. After some EV training with a few members of the final team, it's time to take on Gary. He leads Sandslash as I lead Kingler. Crabhammer one-shots his lead and next is Execute. I decided to be a bit of a troll here, just going for Guillotine to see if I could land it, and it lands on both Execute and Cloyster. Moving on to Magneton. I'm going to swap Kingler out for Tauros to make its debut as Magneton hits a Thunder Wave, and while I will be moving second for the rest of this battle, it won't matter because Earthquake wrecks his 3 remaining Pokemon. I'm so glad I was able to catch this thing. I wanted it on the team so bad. After heading through Victory Road, finishing off any EV training and getting my team to level 57 and 8, this is the final team. I feel like without Pikachu, it's truly not Ash's team, but you can see the stats on the left-hand side. That 52 defense, yuck. Pikachu will be rolling with Thunderbolt, which I put PP ups into accidentally thinking it was a different Pokemon. Thunder, Light Screen, and Agility. Snorlax, who hasn't seen much screen time to this point with Hyper Beam, Amnesia, Thunderbolt, and Rest. Kingler, my strongest Pokemon based off its attack stat with Crabhammer, Stomp, Guillotine, and Harden. Lapras, who also hasn't seen much screen time with Ice Beam, Body Slam, Psychic, and Hydro Pump. Tauros, the Wild Bull, with Earthquake, Body Slam, Blizzard, and Fire Blast. I accidentally taught over Ice Beam on this thing, and Blizzard is my way to try and fix that mistake. And finally, we have Charizard with Flamethrower, Dig, Slash, and Swords Dance. I'm confident this team can get through the league, but there's only one way to find out. Up first is Lorelei. Her lead is Dugong and I lead Pikachu. Thunder brings it to low orange health as it goes for Rest. As it's snoozing, I set up Light Screen to mitigate damage from her team and Agility for some badge boost. Thunder still isn't enough to take out her lead, but she just uses a retroactive Super Potion and Thunderbolt can finish it. I stick with Thunderbolt on Cloyster, which one-shots, and out comes the tanky Slowbro. My first Thunder misses as Surf does about a quarter, while my next brings it to a Sliver, but we get another retroactive Super Potion, and Thunderbolt finishes it. Out comes Jinx, and Thunderbolt crits doing over half, as Ice Punch brings me to half. Thankfully not freezing. Another Thunderbolt brings it to a Sliver as it whiffs a lovely kiss. Will Pikachu be able to solo Lorelei? Last is Lapras. Thunder hits and scores a critical hit which leaves it on a Sliver, but we get Paralysis as Hydro Pump hits and brings me down to low red health. Had this thing crit with Hydro Pump or even used Body Slam, we would be saying bye-bye to Ash's first Pokemon, but instead, Pikachu lives to see another member. Up next is Bruno, and I'll make this one brief. I lead Kingler, I leave my cursor on Crabhammer, and I get one-shots on everything except Machamp, who requires 2 Crabhammers. Let's move on. Agatha is next, and like with the first 2 battles, it's going to be a solo Pokemon show, with Charizard being able to solo her team with ease. Although Golbat does hit me with a Toxic as I set up Swords Dance, but as long as you KO the Pokemon, you won't take poison damage at the end of the turn. Although using a 2-turn attack in Dig, I'm not doing myself any favors. This could have ended poorly for Charizard, but as always, never punished. Lance the Dragon Master is the final member, and this battle is a team effort. He leads Gyarados as I lead Pikachu. It has a 4 times weakness to electric attacks, so Thunderbolt easily one-shots it. Up next is the first of 2 Dragonairs. I decide to swap to Lapras because Ice Beam will mow them down, but he goes for Thunder Wave, paralyzing me, and then fires off its own Thunderbolt, critting and doing over half as Ice Beam takes it out. He sends out his next Dragonair, who hits me with Wrap and then Hyper Beam, bringing Lapras to red health. While I could have tried Ice Beam on the recharge turn, I decide to swap to Tauros. I fire off a Blizzard which will easily knock out Dragonair. Aerodactyl is next, and this thing is a critting machine. Blizzard leaves it on low red health as it just uses Swift. Okay, didn't expect that. We easily move on to Lance's ace, Dragonite, who won't be able to withstand the power of a 4 times super effective Blizzard. Before the final battle, I heal up the party and use a few candies to bring them over level 60, which to me should be more than enough to defeat Gary. Can we achieve the Deathless Run? Let's find out. Round 1 is Sandslash versus Charizard. I want to set up fully on this thing and hopefully get the sweep, but its first Poison Sting poisons me. Not what I was expecting. I continue my setup to +6 and fire off a Flamethrower, which crits to one-shot his lead. Alakazam is next, and I should have just used Slash on this thing, but instead go for Dig and take some unnecessary poison damage. Exeggutor follows, and with my badge boost, Flamethrower leaves it on a sliver as poison chips away at me and it misses Barrage. I finish it and move on to Magneton. Dig will annihilate this thing, but after it, we have Cloyster, and my worst nightmare happens. Dig crits, which nullifies my stat changes. Cloyster rips an Ice Beam, bringing me to 22 HP. I decide to risk it, going for Dig. The poison damage leaves me at 10 HP. And I don't get an unlucky crit with my next Dig, taking out the tanky Clam and moving on to Flareon. While Dig would give me the one-shot, poison damage will kill me while I'm underground, so I swap to our Wild Bull, Tauros. I should have sent out Pikachu to make it starter versus starter, but I had my sights set on a Deathless Run. Tauros rips an Earthquake, easily taking out his ace, winning us the run. There were a lot of close calls in this run, but no fatalities for my first Nuzlocke in over a year, and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see me do an Ashlock in Gen 2, let me know in the comments. That one is going to be tough. Aside from the starters, you get Pikachu, Phanpy, and Noctowl as encounters, and only Chikorita is allowed to evolve. I think I'd handle that one with giving myself an egg after each gym as a fair way to do it to get all of the starters. Or if you think I should give myself the 3 starters and Pikachu, or start with Pikachu, let me know in the comments. I'm curious how you guys would handle that one. As always, thank you for the continued support on the channel. I want to try a tough one that I don't think will be beating for my next Nuzlocke, rock types only. I feel like in order to get that one off the ground, I'd have to start with Ammonite, although starting with Onix or Rhyhorn is probably possible to at least get by Brock. Until then, I'll catch you guys in my next video. Take care, everybody.